Working off piece development and coordination is partly quite difficult, mostly because one of the major problems of making the pieces to work together is to give them a line, to give them something more than just a general sense of, okay, they're good. Now, literally being able to do this is always a difficult task. But first and foremost, I'd recommend that you concentrate your attention at moves which help you to advance, to attack, to threaten. So let's take a look and see how that works. The first move that was played by Karpov with white, there are a couple of different moves. Like, one of the ways is to play with knight f3. And it could have been a knight f3 so that we could just get that line for the knight, arranging it quickly. And then, indeed, this would have been a very good-looking candidate. Another possibility is, of course, after d4 to try and bishop takes f, exchange, and stay well. But the truth is that after bishop takes f5, white achieves something far more important. Not only that he takes away the only advanced and active piece of the opponent, but also we are literally breaking down the coordination. The sole coordination that black was having with a couple of those pieces is now completely broken up and therefore destroyed. It's really that key thing. First thing, if you want to be more powerful than your opponent, the best of all things is to start by removing or thinking about what are his advanced pieces, so that then you can actually think a little bit about yours and where they can stand out in order to approach and attack him. That's really the way to do it. That's the approach we pick. So what happens in this position is that we're going for the move of bishop takes to the f5 with the idea that the very next move after bishop takes f, e takes f, and then knight f3, it's not just white's option, white's opportunity to stand and open to d4, but also the difference between each piece that white is having in comparison to black. Now think about it. It's always about the difference. White has very particular kind of advantage in this position. See, black has his own options in a sense, and they're fine. But it's really the advantage and pressure, as well as everything, that gives white that shining armor and an opportunity to go for knight g5. Now black takes the pawn, and you may be wondering, but okay, Valeri, why did that happen? Isn't black now quite capable to just jump in and start attacking? I mean, in the end of the day, it does feel like we've given him a pretty strong opportunity with the rook. Well, as I said before, it's really about what does he do. Now, if you think about this very carefully, you're going to find out something important. The black rook indeed goes on, at a very nice looking position. But you find out also that it doesn't do anything more. So literally the whole point is that white is able to play with the move of bishop to the d4. And then what we have is the ability to pressurize against the, against the opponent's queen. So we're stronger. That's how you do it. First and foremost, in similar positions, you'd love to get the chance and consolidate, step up. But also, after queen c6 and then queen to the h4, it's intriguing because white is slowly being able to combine the strength of his pieces and get them to the more powerful places that he needs. Now, how does he do that? It's a really good question, don't you think? How do we deliver this? So, first thing, it's a huge deal in that type of position. First thing, what we gotta do is to make sure Now please don't forget that, because it is a great deal. Make sure that you give your pieces the ability to stand and attack. How? Well, actually, the move is e6. Using the pawns as a driving force in order to deliver the rest of our pieces and up them against the opponent is the best you can possibly do. You see, exchanging the opponent's active pieces, making your own better, those things really count, and I love it. But none of these are truly going to matter. Why? Because the only thing that truly matters is the lines, files, diagonals, anything you believe you could do in order to ultimately deliver or bring in your forces to the most valuable positions necessary. So what we have in here is moves like knight e5. What we also have in like coming up in the next moves is going to be the chance to step in and target him different ways. It's so valuable, it's so powerful out there that we just go with it. It's perfect. See, the key point is always arrange the pieces, get them going, and attack. Now, what happened in the game was very exciting too, because after e6, f takes to d, white sets up the knight on the e5, and now of course the initiative is there for white, so black had to move the queen right down. And I want you to think about that moment for a second. Space is there, the pressure is up, and everything is in the play. So what are we going to do? Being strong is one thing, but doing something more is different. So how do we do it? Only one way. So I like to say it. Think of forcing moves. You see, it's not always going to work all that easily or all that well, because forcing moves are indeed very, very important. But what really matters is that you keep looking at moves which you can really deliver that type of attack, that kind of threat, and the thing that goes against our opponents. So it's just, what was the move that white actually picked up to do? Well, he was able to do the move of the queen c7, knight takes to the g6. It's brilliant because then your black actually captures it. We get to see that after the capture, then it's the queen to the h8 check, queen h7, and this is going to be a disaster. It's so beautiful. The key part of it, really important, the key part of such a position is always get the pieces going and attack. So bishop g7 was what black did go with. So it's pretty powerful. And then the next move is after bishop g7, white came right back. See, stabilizing is what really helps out a lot about such positions, because you can hardly make any breakthrough come out immediately. However, you can make the position and your pieces stabilize and stay together. Because the truth is, truth be told, right now everything feels excellent. It's all in, it's all perfect, it's all steady. And so just, it's a great position. And then after that, black played queen e7, which white responded with queen to g3. It was really good this way because now we've got the pin that's actually happening. And not only that, you know, black's king obviously is bad. The rest of his pieces have no place. So you see, he has quite a bit of the value and the power, but none of these pieces are really in the condition or having the coordination that he needs in order to make like everything happen. And that's a beautiful thing in this position. So we got the ability, we've got the strength and the power. So black played rook e to c8. So white played rook fe1, rook a to c7, knight f3. Now, I want to talk about one other element that's quite key. I call that regrouping. You see, regrouping is super important because like what's gonna happen is that we're actually able to take up on the chance, and now we're setting up. That knight can come out with a move of a knight g5. We can have the extra pressure, instantly against the e6. You see, it always takes a little bit of time to build that, to get all these pieces, to get all the control. But in the end of the day, it's all worth it because actually it's a perfect thing to follow, and it's really, really good. Oftentimes, the key idea is to really, really, get it to work with the regrouping, with the setup. White's able. And so when black played king to the h8, moving down with his king, walking away, it's the major big breaking move that white is able to do. So what was it? Queen takes g7. That really felt like the move that completely busts black's position open. Think about it that way. If you get the chance to take your pieces and attack with them, how would you do it so that you could leave your opponent behind and backward? Queen takes g7 does it in the most beautiful, the most effective way. And so after queen takes g7, as black played it, then of course there came the move of rook takes to the e6. What you realize is that black is terribly behind. None of his pieces and his development can work out. He is awful. He has, in case of the exchange, we're gonna be able to recapture with our own knight. So there's really no way on how he can escape. Remember, the key point about these positions is pressure, pressure, pressure. Every single move creates or recreates some sort of an extra challenge over the opponent. And that's all you need. Don't have to worry about anything else. Just create this constant pressure over him. And as you do, things can be great. Queen takes d4 and knight takes to the d. Black tried to attack, but you see, he's already lost lots of the material. He has already lost, any important opportunities to complicate. So he's just jumping in and trying to get something to work. But in the end of the day, none of these are really going to matter. None of these are going to be important by any meaning. So the key is regroup, stabilize, get everything ready. And then as we have that happening with rook to the rook from e to e1 now, you can't make much. Honestly, black is behind. If he exchanges, we're going to have that ability to recapture. If he doesn't, it's just none of his other pieces are going to count either. So the secret, let's put it this way, the secret to any position is not just making sure that you could activate the pieces, but also it is about connecting them. It's about coordinating. It's really just about having this ability to make everything work well. Because once you have those pieces working out off of one another quite well like this, you can do so much more. Beautiful. So after rook to the e1 in particular, then the idea is that black played rook takes to the d1, rook takes to the d1. So there really wasn't all too much that black could do differently. So white has the extra challenge on the f5, and he's got more stuff. So it's great. Rule number one about these positions is number one, think about the opponent's most active or advanced pieces so that you could fight against them. Number two, deliver what we call as this subtle, gradual improvement so that every piece can stand up and move closer in its way against the opponent. Next thing, very beautiful idea, as a matter of fact. So a really great thing what White decided to do, and this was the chance to, open. Nothing is going to work out all that well until you actually don't move the pawns out of the way, and therefore clear up so that you could have this possibility to to attack and then do things. So this is a great version to play with. And so it's very, very interesting. And then, the idea is that what we're actually going for in the case of f takes to the e knight e5, black played queen to c7, knight takes g6. Remember about one thing above all else. Pressure counts as most important. Why? Because if you could make your opponent feel backward, feel behind, or feel passive in that sense, you will be quite successful. It's just that idea of, like letting him hang in there, a bit more backward, a bit more passive on his own. That's what kicks out great. Strong, effective, coordinated, ready, and relevant. The domination of white's great pieces versus black's passive-looking forces was simply amazing, and that gave the great advantage that white was able to follow through with and really, execute. Did it take time to do it? Absolutely. But was it all worth it? Absolutely, it was. It was well done, effective, and excellent. So I do hope that you find these suggestions quite most useful, and I look forward to seeing you use them in your next games.